welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be doing a video that is very highly requested. This is a question I get asked on like a weekly basis by you guys here on my YouTube, on my Instagram, on my Snapchat. Like, you all want to know, so I thought we're gonna share it. Wow, excuse how greasy my hair is today. Let's pretend it's not. So the biggest question I get asked on literally like a weekly basis is, Ames, how do I get an aesthetically pleasing Instagram? How do you choose an aesthetic? Where do you find your inspiration? Where do you get your filters from? How do you edit? What do you do? So we're sharing, I'm telling you, I'm teaching you. Let's get into it. Without further ado, I am going to tell you some of my top tips on how to create an insane Instagram, how to get up there, have a really aesthetically pleasing Instagram feed. I'm not saying by any means I have the best Instagram in the world, because hun, you know I don't, but I'm quite obsessed with Instagram, so who better to give you a little bit of advice, and you've all been asking. So without further ado, let's jump into this video. So the first thing I do before I take any Instagram picture, any content picture whatsoever, is get some inspo. Now that is not in any means copy another influencer. That's not copy another girl I have on Instagram. That's go onto their page, save their pictures, go onto Pinterest, save their pictures, poses I might like, of outfits I might like the look of, the backdrop, of a vibe that I'm interested in. I save them all into a Pinterest board or in an Instagram save tab, which if you haven't seen, it's like the little, almost looks like a little tab or like a little end of a ribbon. Click that on the pictures, and then when I am in a position to take a picture, I can just jump on into my board or into my saved file, and I can have a little look and see, am I feeling like that pose today? Get some inspiration, because sometimes when you're taking pictures day in and day out, it can be really difficult to shake things up and have some difference in your pictures. You don't want your feed to be all the same pictures. You just like, you want a bit of difference. So it's a really good way to think of some new ideas, you know, sort of get a collection of ideas and of the vibe that you're going for, and then just make it your own, you know. If you don't have Pinterest, go get it. It is your best friend. You're planning a wedding, get Pinterest. You're planning a gram, get Pinterest. You're changing your bedroom, get Pinterest. That is the #1 app that I would say to get if you want to be inspired in anything in life. Get Pinterest. Like, honestly, I could spend hours every single morning and night just scrolling through Pinterest, adding things to my board, and then when I think, hey, I need to go take a picture, I can have a little look, get the idea. I think I've got a Pinterest board of autumn winter outfits, so when autumn winter does come, I know what I'm wearing. Okay, so coming off of that, the next thing I guess would be, what apps do I use? What apps do I use to edit? What apps do I use to plan my Instagram feed? What apps do I use to sort of get the filters that I use, all that kind of thing. So my top apps are, let me just get my phone so I can actually tell you the exact names. So the top apps are, first and foremost, I would jump into Pinterest. I'll take a look on Pinterest, get some inspiration, then I know what I'm up to. To edit, will use ViscoCam, Lightroom, and Anim. Now, with regards to like actually finding a colour theme or like a vibe, this has to be my #1 tip. Now, my phone is dying, really bad planning here, but this is my, sorry, I think the light's really blinding it, but this was my Instagram feed when I was in Lanzarote. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but it's really bright, sort of summery colours, yellow, really quite yellow, and really quite light and airy. Now, I actually got that filter from Pinterest. The person who actually inspired me to go for those colours is Vato, Kane Vato. I don't know if you guys know him. If you don't, check him out. I'll leave his link in the description box below. Myself, if you follow me on Instagram, you might know I've been through a fair share of Instagram feeds and different aesthetics that I like colour wise. So when I was in Lanzarote and on holiday, I went for kind of a summery, yellowy, tan, summery kind of vibe, which I loved. At the moment, I'm on your typical blogger, sort of white, blacks, denims, really like desaturated colours. And then before then, I was on kind of a dark pinky browns, and I really loved that at the time. So it really, this sounds really weird, but like, depending on what I'm doing, if I'm on holiday, I tend to go for a more tan, summery, bluey, greeny, loads of colours. If I'm at home and it's winter, I'll go for darker autumnal colours. And yeah, things like that. It really depends on like weather, what vibe I'm feeling, what style I'm wearing at the time. It's really, really weird, but I change it up all the time. You know, some people on their Instagram will stick with the same aesthetic through and through. Some won't even have a matching aesthetic, but my number one tip for having an aesthetically pleasing feed would be to have the same filter on all your pictures. Don't get me wrong, if you're going for a really white, a really bright and minimalistic kind of vibe, and then you're wearing a bright red dress, it's generally still not going to go with your feed. However, if you're wearing slightly tonal colours, or if your background matches, so the pictures are all kind of the same, but there's something a little bit off and it's not kind of going, that could be the one thing that sharpens your entire feed and takes you from 0 to 100, is having the same filter throughout. And it really, really just sharpens it and sort of links each picture together, even though they're not. So for example, this is what I do to find my own aesthetical feed and to sort of use inspiration from others. So you'll need VSCOcam, VSCO, however you want to say it, and you'll also need Pinterest. What I do, go onto Pinterest and you want to type in VSCO filter aesthetics. If you don't know what you're looking for, just type in VSCO aesthetics and have a little scroll through, see which one's for you. If you do know what you're going for, so if you're like, I want a pinky tone, I want a cool tone, I want autumn aesthetic, I want a summer aesthetic, you can type in VSCO summer aesthetic and it will bring you up some perfect aesthetics that other people have created. Now what this is going to do, and I really should have just screen recorded my phone, but I can't be bothered, sorry. Now what this is going to do is it's going to bring you up a bunch of these, and these are what I like to call filter recipes. They are basically a recipe of all the different little edit ingredients you need to make that filter and achieve that style of edit. Now for example, this one is called Dusty Air, that's what that creator has called it, and you can see they've got filter C1 plus 6, exposure plus 2. Now just a little heads up, if you're not paying for VSCO Premium, then you will need to search for free VSCO filters, free VSCO aesthetics, whatever, into Pinterest. Otherwise it's going to bring you up some filters you don't have access to. So yeah, you just want to have a little look through there, and if you like this dusty airy theme, you scroll through and it brings you up more which is sort of relevant to you, that kind of thing. It is the best way, and I think my biggest tip slash blogger secret as to how to get that really aesthetically pleasing feed for literally no money and no edit time. When you're then in VSCO, and I'll do an in-depth video on this if you want it, but when you're in VSCO, you can then apply that same filter to absolutely everything, and you don't have to type in each individual thing every time you're looking to do so. So yeah, that would be my top tip on getting a great filter, and that is the main question I think I get. How do you edit your feed and how do you get such cool filters? That's how I do it. Another really, really, really underestimated thing about an Instagram is the key filler pictures. Now most of you might be thinking, what the hell is filler pictures? Aims, what you're going on about, but you cannot have an aesthetically pleasing Instagram if you don't have your little fillers in there. So this is what I'm on about. See this picture? Filler picture, filler picture, filler picture, filler picture. Now filler pictures are photos that aren't necessarily a selfie or a full body shot. There's something that's just like a detail, or like of your food, or of your shoes, or of a bag, or of some scenery. It's a photo that's sort of strips back, pares back your feed and stops it from looking so full and so bulky. The main reason for an aesthetically pleasing Instagram is to please the eye, and if you've got loads of the same picture in your square, then it's not necessarily going to be that pleasing, and you're going to be like confused as to what's going on your feed, and that can look really quite bulky. So having those pictures to keep your feed airy, to keep them open, to keep them sort of toned down a little bit and not as busy, can really, really help get you that aesthetically pleasing feed that you're looking for, and can be the difference between a regular feed to a feed that looks as though it's had a crazy amount of time put into it just to have some difference. I guess another thing to do with that is try and take pictures that have different focal points and different poses. Know what you're posting about. So if you're a fashion blogger, don't then start taking pictures of I don't know, footballs and different kind of balls. Don't then start taking pictures. You can take pictures of whatever you want. This is just my advice, and what I found works for me is stick to your niche. Like find a niche and stick to it. If it's fashion, then go with fashion. If it's beauty, go with beauty. If it's sports, if it's animals, whatever, stick to it, because your followers are going to come back for more because they know what they're getting from you. They understand what they're going to get every time they come back to you. Of course you can have a point of difference, of course, but just kind of have that little speciality, I guess, as to what you're interested in, and then we all know what we're coming back for. Yeah, so going back onto looking at Pinterest for different poses, this is so crucial, because you don't just want to feed where you're just standing in the picture like this. In every single picture, you need a point of difference. You need one where you're crouching, you need one where it's a side profile, you need one where it might just be this area, you need one where it's, you know, it's got to have a bit of difference to it, a bit of excitement. So when your followers will go to your 9, it doesn't all look the same. So you see how my top 3 are all different. Sorry, the lights are so annoying, but you'll see here that we've got a details picture, a top half picture, and a full body picture. Then we've got a filler, which is food, we've got a full body, and then we've got shoes. So it's something different, which really takes your eye on a journey to look through all these pictures to get a little sort of a vibe. It almost looks like a mood board. When you have all these things put together, your Instagram looks like a mood board, and aesthetically, that's what people like. They have a reason to come back because they've got something which is the same vibe that they like, but it's not exactly the same as the last picture. Don't get me wrong, I've got a lot of pictures where I'm probably standing in exactly the same way, but they're in different outfits, different locations, different seasons, that kind of thing, and it really splits itself up with different poses, filler pictures, things like that. So yeah, another top tip, change your poses up. A way I actually judge my Instagram is by what I call a rule of 12. I know that doesn't really exist, but basically I feel like people judge your Instagram based on the first 12 blocks. So a grid of 12 is the first 12 blocks that they can see fully. So that's 4, 8, 12. I personally feel like that's what we get judged on the most, and that's how a follower will decide, do I want to follow this person? Are they my vibe? Because if you're not in the first 12, I don't know about you, I'm not going to keep scrolling down years and years and years, right? So it's really important to make sure that that first 12 all match and all link. Now what I like to do is actually, now this is where it goes from being like just using Instagram to Insta obsessed, but I will plan my feed on an app called Anum. Now it looks like this. It's basically an app where you can pre-upload your pictures and plan what your grid is going to look like. I use this all the time to plan my brand Instagrams, my Instagram, and if I'm doing any work for other clients. You can literally just upload your Instagram pictures onto here. You can even add a caption early if you want to and upload it directly from the app, but I don't like doing it because it tags the app on there. So for example, this picture you guys won't have seen yet, but I've got it on there ready to post on my Instagram. What I'll then do is I will click on all the pictures I've got ready to post and the next empty grid in my square, and I will just keep clicking the shift button to see what goes where and what I like, and then when I like one, I'll tap it off and I'll keep clicking until it changes. I don't know if you can see that. And it just moves all the pictures around until they're in a position that I like and that I feel like works best for me. I mean, a short and sweet video it might be, but I think that's about everything that I can just quickly run through and tell you. That's sort of the main things that I do. If you've got any more questions, please do leave them down below or drop me a message on Instagram. I am, of course, AimsWhat on Instagram. If you would like to see a video of how I edit my Instagram pictures, then do give this video a thumbs up and comment down below saying edit, and I would definitely consider doing that video for you. In the meantime, I hope you're all enjoying the lovely sun if you're here in the UK. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. I love you all so much for being here every single time, and I will see you next week. Bye!